The story begins in Pulu Prefecture, where a train arrives at night as a woman asks her master what's bothering him. He says a man named He Jiaqing is coming back tomorrow, and he worries the wedding with Xiaolan might be cancelled. The woman on his lap says Xiaolan won't let Jiaqing return alive, but the master is worried about the boy's talent. With a sinister look she says a nobody with a supreme treasure is already a dead man walking. The master then mentions that people from the Huan Kingdom are also after this treasure and they have powerful connections. She dismisses his concern, saying he's talking about the young master from the Jiangxiang gang who's just an idiot. The woman confidently states that as long as Jiaqing gets on that train he is sure to meet his end. Changing scenes to a train station, we see a girl with purple hair waving and calling out for Jiaqing. Our protagonist points her out to his friend, saying his fiancée is as beautiful as a girl from an old poster. His friend questions his taste, asking why he's so fond of such old-fashioned things. Jiaqing then demonstrates his skill by accurately throwing a small object at a distant sign. He gets close to his friend's face and whispers that within 5 meters he never misses. The girl walks up to them and notices he's been drinking, but he explains it was just a farewell meal. The blonde friend tells the protagonist to call him when he gets back to his dorm to make sure he's safe. He explains that he's also drunk and might fall asleep, needing someone to wake him up later. The main character pushes his buddy away and jokes that with Lu Xiaolan around he wouldn't get into trouble. His friend then pulls the girl closer, explaining she can outsleep him and sleeps like a log. With a menacing look he adds that she wouldn't even wake up if the train derailed. Suddenly the protagonist grabs his head as if he's in extreme pain. His eyes glow a menacing red as he looks completely shocked by what's happening. It seems he's having a vision of a collapsing building and says this image keeps coming back. A station announcement calls for passengers of train 1160, so his friend says he's leaving. The main character smiles and tells his companion to take care as well. His buddy waves goodbye as he and the girl start walking away from the protagonist. Looking back with a strange expression, the blonde boy also tells him to take care. The girl then asks why he told Jiaqing to call him, and he explains he's worried because the guy is unwell. He continues saying Jiaqing is a pretty good guy, but he's a little loopy, which scares people. Li Banfeng then smirks to himself, saying that he isn't the crazy one here. Back with the master, he worries that if Jiaqing is gone the Crimson Life Lotus will be lost. The woman reassures him, saying Xiaolan found out Jiaqing's friend Li Banfeng knows the lotus's location. The master finds the name Li Banfeng quite interesting after hearing it for the first time. The woman says not to remember it since the guy will be gone once they get the lotus. Meanwhile, at Yuzhou University, the protagonist walks to his dorm and complains about the early lights out. Walking down an empty hall, he thinks about how everyone is gone, leaving him all alone. He feels hopeless since, unlike Jiaqing, he has nowhere to go and can't return to the orphanage. Suddenly a horrifying vision of chaos and destruction overwhelms him, causing immense pain. He blames Jiaqing's earlier joke for the bad vision and decides to call him as he promised. On the phone he tells Jiaqing to wake up and go to Pulu, but the voice on the other end seems confused. As he's on the phone he notices movement from one of the beds in his dark dorm room. Feeling that something is wrong, he abruptly hangs up the phone, saying he has to go. He walks over to his bed and angrily tells the unknown person sleeping there to get up. But as he touches the person, another terrifying vision of a collapsing tower flashes before his eyes. He's completely shocked when he realizes the person sleeping in his bed is his friend Jiaqing. This leaves him utterly bewildered since he thought Jiaqing was on a train heading to Pulu. He stares at his phone, wondering who could have possibly answered his call just moments ago. In a dark room, the protagonist tries to make a call, but the number is unavailable. He quickly turns to his friend Jiaqing, trying to wake him up, but the boy doesn't respond. Looking closer, he sees his friend's face is pale and his breathing is very shallow. Worried about his condition, the protagonist immediately decides to call for an ambulance. But just as he's about to dial, a message from Jiaqing himself pops up asking for help. Suddenly a vision shows Jiaqing surrounded by green energy, desperately asking to be saved. With glowing eyes, the hero realizes his unconscious friend couldn't have sent that message. Later at a hospital, someone outside the room asks if Jiaqing has woken up yet. Inside the room, Jiaqing's third uncle complains that the boy's parents are unreliable. The man then offers Banfeng a bag of money as a thank you for helping his nephew. But our protagonist politely refuses the money, saying his friend needs it more. The uncle then tells him to go home and rest after watching his friend for 2 days. Feeling exhausted from the whole ordeal, the young man finally leaves the hospital. Checking his phone, he sees another message from the imposter and wonders if it's a prank. The mysterious person replies with another text claiming that he is the real He Jiaqing. Li Banfeng is on the phone and accuses someone of being a scammer while threatening to call the police. Suddenly a man appears identifying himself as a police officer, leaving the young man surprised. The officer introduces himself as Chen Chongfeng and asks the boy to remain calm. Right away Chen asks if he was the one who took He Jiaqing to the hospital. He confirms this and explains that he first took the couple to the train station. After that he returned to his dorm only to find his friend unconscious on his bed. But the boy finds it strange since the trip from the station to the dorms takes 2 hours. The officer then questions if they had any problems and brings up the boy's mental health. The young man denies this and says Lu Xiaolan can vouch for him since she was with Jiaqing. Chen insists on knowing why his friend returned to the dorms, but the boy has no answer. Trying to get more info, the officer asks about the train number, but the young man can't remember. In a flash of inspiration, the boy suddenly remembers that the train number was 1160. Hearing this, the officer's expression changes as he reveals that the train fell off a cliff. The young man is completely shocked by the news that there were no survivors from the accident. He then realizes that Lu Xiaolan is probably gone and questions if his friend knew this would happen. A mysterious figure asks the protagonist what he is thinking about. Suddenly a text message from He Jiaqing completely distracts the young man. He wonders if he should show this strange text to Officer Chen. The officer notices his strange behavior and asks if someone is trying to contact him. Saying he has taken enough of his time, the officer extends his hand to say goodbye. While shaking hands, he asks the boy to cooperate and not leave the city for now. Outside the building, the protagonist looks back up at the window where the officer is standing. Inside, a woman approaches Captain Chen asking about Li Banfeng's call records. She explains that after the incident he only called emergency services and the school. Hearing this, the captain realizes that someone is secretly contacting him. His colleague then reveals that Li Banfeng is an orphan with multiple cases of self-defense. In one case he fought against 5 people and seriously injured one of them. The officer finds this amusing and starts laughing, calling the kid completely crazy. He is now sure the boy knows something and orders his colleague to have someone follow him. However, he changes his mind, thinking about who is the best person for each job. The old man thinks to himself that the protagonist will not be an easy person to handle. Meanwhile, inside a shaky subway car, the protagonist is traveling to his destination. While sitting down, he remembers the strange message he got from Officer Chen earlier. He suddenly realizes that the old fox was probably trying to trick him with his words. Just then another message pops up from someone named Jiaqing who is begging for help. Confused by the text, the boy types back asking who the mysterious they are. The reply says his uncle, the police, and even the friend he saw are all fakes. A terrifying vision flashes in his mind as he reads the word liars over and over again. Arriving at the university entrance, he gets another message from this unknown number. He freezes in place because the sender knows about his uncle and Jiaqing's location. A chilling feeling runs down his spine, like someone is constantly watching him. To prove his identity, the person lists intimate memories only a true friend would know. After reading about their shared past, he confirms this must be the real He Jiaqing. His friend says there is no time to explain and that he must be saved right now. He Jiaqing then asks the protagonist to get something and bring it to his house. Jiaqing reveals the item is waiting for him inside the campus supermarket. He's then told to bring it to his hometown and rush to the train station now. The item is in a locker and his friend just tells him to simply take it out. Suddenly his phone begins scanning his face, which leaves him very confused. He's completely shocked when the locker door actually clicks open right in front of him. It seems his phone used his face to somehow bypass his friend's locker security. As he leaves, he spots a suspicious man and his friend warns him about the Dark Star Bureau. Jiaqing tells him he can't beat the agent and to get closer to eavesdrop on the call. Moving closer, he overhears the agent on the phone reporting his exact name and location. The man continues his report saying he tried to contact Captain Chen but couldn't. The person on the other end then gives a chilling order to terminate the subject immediately. The protagonist freezes in terror after hearing the order to end his life. On the phone, Captain Xiao tells his agent that the order is absolute because the item is dangerous. He reminds the subordinate about his parents' sacrifice and the nature of their enemy. With newfound resolve, the agent agrees to terminate the protagonist and hide the evidence. The man in black is surprised when he realizes his target has vanished right before his eyes. Suddenly, the protagonist appears right behind him with a fist ready to deliver a powerful blow. The agent quickly dodges using a green aura, saying he can't let the boy get away. He then launches himself through the air in a high-speed pursuit of the young man. On the ground, the protagonist is shocked, wondering if that guy is even human. His pursuer closes the distance fast, yelling that he's not going anywhere. An intense clash erupts as the protagonist defends against the powerful green energy. After landing, the agent orders the boy to drop the backpack and show his hands. He thinks that if Captain Xiao insists, then Li Banfeng really deserves his fate. The protagonist grits his teeth, thinking he never wanted to get involved in this situation. But now that he's in deep, his eyes glow red because there's no turning back. He throws an orange energy projectile, stating he never misses from 5 meters away. The attack hits the agent right in the face, causing him to scream out in pain. Seeing his opportunity, the protagonist knows he has to get to the train station now. Without wasting a moment, he makes a mad dash toward the station entrance. Captain Xiao is told they lost their target in the train station, so he decides to lock the whole place down. On the other end of the line, his superior gets angry and calls him an incompetent waste of space. In a dark office, a mysterious man orders his subordinate Deng Pao to handle things quietly without making a scene. He coldly explains the plan is to eliminate Li Banfeng, get the item, then be silenced forever. Our protagonist looks at his ticket for train 1160, wondering if it hadn't derailed, but it's back in service. He then rushes through the terminal asking for directions to gate 96 and is told to go to waiting hall 2. Following the directions given, he runs towards an underpass located right next to the restrooms. The boy uses his phone as a flashlight while going down a dark staircase, wondering if the lights are broken. Suddenly, strange blue lightning starts crackling all around him as he continues to descend. Looking up, he sees a bright light at the top of the stairs and thinks it must be the exit. But upon reaching the top, he stops, completely shocked by what he's seeing. He has somehow arrived on an old platform with a steam train and people in old-fashioned clothes. Someone asks him if he bought any food, since this particular train doesn't serve any. The protagonist sighs while his friend on the phone warns him not to leave his car after boarding. Just then, an old lady appears selling instant noodles, which is perfect timing for the hungry young man. At the train station, our hero tries to buy 10 boxes of noodles but is stopped by 2 guards. He shouts that this is a robbery in broad daylight and slaps a guard's hand away. The young man says the woman is his aunt who brought him some food for the trip. Holding her hand, he tells his aunt that it's time for him to get on the train. He quickly waves goodbye and boards the vehicle before they can ask any more questions. With a mysterious glow, the old lady tells the young man to take care on his journey. From a distance, a mysterious man in a trench coat is seen watching the woman. The man orders someone named Deng Pao to eliminate the suspect immediately. Deng Pao's hands start to glow as he thinks this is his last chance to take down Li Banfeng. Suddenly, another man appears and stops him, telling him not to be so reckless. Captain Xiao shouts that Li Banfeng has escaped with a very important item. Captain Chen agrees, telling Xiao to go after him while the others wait there. Then Chen explains that Li Banfeng took the Lucky Star's item, so he's very lucky now. Deng Pao is shocked to realize Captain Xiao sent him on a suicide mission. Xiao argues that he isn't certain, but they have to take risks since it's Deng Pao's duty. Captain Chen tries to calm the situation down, saying it's better to just let things go. He explains that Li Banfeng is not a dark energy user, so going to Piluo is a death sentence. Then he thinks to himself that with the Lucky Star's blessing, the boy should be safe for now. Meanwhile, our protagonist is walking to his train car number 7 completely unaware. A strange announcement welcomes the passengers, telling them not to move around or open the curtains. The rules continue, stating that staff won't disturb them and no strangers are allowed inside. Inside his compartment, the young man lies down exhausted but impressed by how luxurious it is. He then checks his phone and sees a message from a friend warning him about the train's rules. His friend texts back that he's currently trapped and they can talk when they meet in person. The boy asks about the package, but his friend avoids the question, telling him to just rest. He now recalls overhearing that this mysterious item could get a lot of people hurt. Suddenly an announcement says they are arriving at Sanliadeo station and should prepare to exit. Just then a loud banging noise on his door startles the young man, taking him by surprise. A woman's voice from outside pleads for him to open the door and let her in for a while. The boy is confused, wondering how she knows he's a man since he hasn't left the room at all. Outside his door a man's voice tells the woman to just kick it down since he isn't opening it. While they continue banging on the door, he wonders what's going on and recalls the strange warning. Suddenly a train attendant appears and tells the troublemakers to get off the train immediately. After all the commotion, everything goes completely silent, leaving the boy alone in his compartment. He scratches his head in relief, thinking they were just trying to avoid paying for their tickets. As the train starts moving again, an announcement reveals the next stop is going to be Hacheling. Just when he thinks he can finally relax, a creepy skeletal hand slams against his window. He's shocked to see the same woman from before, now looking like a monster trying to get in. Looking up in horror, he realizes that the strange people are on the roof of the moving train. The creatures relentlessly bang on the window, which starts to glow with a strange green light. Our protagonist is terrified by the green aura now surrounding him, wondering what is going on. His neck suddenly starts to feel incredibly itchy and he scratches it until it starts to bleed. Then a massive burst of green energy erupts from his back, forming two sinister figures. In his reflection he sees monstrous shapes behind him, which makes him even more confused. With glowing eyes he wonders about the voices he's hearing and the three-headed person he sees. Surrounded by green energy, he hears the monsters outside screaming for him to let them in. Suddenly a conductor's voice is heard telling a passenger that this is their stop. The monster screams that it's not getting off the train and will find a way to pay the fare. It desperately explains that it can't get off here because the peddler has already left. Despite its pleas, the conductor uses a long pole to push the creature off the train. The two monsters are thrown off the side of the train while screaming that they'll pay. Back in his room he wonders if the ordeal is finally over as the train departs the station. Touching his neck, he still can't shake the strange feeling of almost growing three heads. This makes him wonder if Santucha is a place that causes some kind of special transformation. He then questions if it affects everyone and what the monster meant by a peddler. If the peddler is gone, he wonders why the creatures were in such a rush to get to Hacheling. Trying to find answers, he frantically starts searching for information about the train online. He finds nothing online about train 1160 or the derailment accident. The boy is terrified, wondering how something as big as a derailment wouldn't make the news. He thinks Old Shin was messing with him when the train finally arrives at its destination. While the boy is resting in his room, a voice from outside starts selling different kinds of food. The peddler's silhouette passes by the window and the protagonist suddenly feels very hungry. His hunger is so intense that he's tempted to open the curtain to buy some tea eggs. But he quickly remembers the warning about the windows and the previous monster attack. Deciding to play it safe, he makes himself a cup of the instant noodles he brought with him. While eating, he checks his phone, but it has no signal, so he can't contact his friend. He puts his worries aside for now and decides to just focus on finishing his meal. After finishing, the boy is surprised by how incredibly delicious the noodles tasted. But his satisfaction quickly turns to confusion after eating a whole bowl of noodles. He's still overwhelmed by a gnawing hunger that seems to be getting even stronger. Unable to control himself, he starts frantically eating the dry noodles straight from the cup. It feels like 100 monstrous hands are clawing inside his stomach, demanding more food. An announcement says the train is leaving just as he's stuffing his face with noodles. With a bloated stomach, the hunger finally starts to fade as they leave the Hacheling area. He looks at the box in shock, realizing he just ate 8 whole cups of noodles uncontrollably. After the crazy eating binge, he feels sick to his stomach and almost throws up. Exhausted from everything that's happened, he rests his head on the table next to his phone. He gets a text from his friend with his address telling him he won't be able to pick him up. The young man immediately replies, asking about the strange three-headed people he saw. Once again, he can't find any information about the places his friend mentioned online. As evening approaches, the boy waits for a reply, but his friend has been silent for hours. Frustrated and worried, he leans back on the couch, trying to process everything that's happened. Suddenly the train comes to a screeching halt, startling him and making him wonder if they've arrived. But it's too early, so he realizes something is wrong and an announcement confirms his fears. The lights go out too and he's left in the dark trying to figure out what's going on. Luckily he has his phone, so he pulls out his charger to make sure it doesn't die. The time on his phone is 10:32 p.m. but he quickly notices a much bigger problem. His phone is at 1% battery and it's not charging because the train cut off all power. He's surrounded by darkness and strange events, making him feel like he's in a paranormal show. With no way to contact his friend or find his address, he realizes he's completely screwed.